Thank you for joining us today. We're going to give it just 1 to 2 more minutes for any late stragglers, and then Katie will kick us off.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get us started. Hey there, everybody. Good morning. This is Katie Town with AGCO. Thanks for joining us. Today, you're going to hear from Laurel, Maggie, and Chelsea, 3 very compelling subject matter experts in all things creative, art direction, and social media. I think the biggest takeaway here is, yes, our brand teams spend a lot of resources producing content for us to leverage, for you to leverage in terms of photography, videography, print ads, all the other assets that you receive from us. But nothing truly beats the content you as marketers at the local level can capture and put out there. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm making a purchase these days, could be a $20 item, could be a $500 item. I research what other people are saying. Of course, I want the manufacturer to give me, or we do features, benefits, but you really get a sense of the value from actual customers. What problem does it solve, and so forth. So again, thanks for tuning in and taking some time to listen to some best practices and capturing this awesome content and how to get it out there. Before I turn it over to Kira to get us started, I want to do a quick housekeeping reminder to get your whole goods co-op claims in to meet the 35% utilization threshold for utilization gate number 1, which will take place in just about 30 days. Can't believe we are May 1st tomorrow, so that means June 1st is our utilization gate. So reminders to get those in. But Kira is also going to do a quick run through real quick of the portal and ordering some of those in-store point of purchase items like brochures and posters, and make sure you can find those correctly in the new instance of the portal. So I'll let you take it, Kira.
Thanks, Katie. We are going to go a little off script here to start and just do a quick overview of the portal. I know we did a deeper dive into it on last month's webinar, but just wanted to show you all how to order some of those more point of purchase items. But before I do that, I just want to remind you all there is a chat box. So if you have questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to put your questions into the chat box, and we will answer those at the end of today's presentation. So I'm going to share my screen here with you all quick. All right, so if you're looking to order some different point of purchase materials, the best way to do that is to get into the AGCO Direct portal. You access the AGCO Direct portal through using my.1agco. Click on marketing, and then you can go into the AGCO Direct portal. So if you're looking to order, I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this, but the first example I'll show is if you're looking to order a brochure. If you know for sure which product you want, you can click into Massey. And if you know you want a under 100 horsepower brochure for the GC 1700, go in and click on brochures, and it will pull up the brochures that are available for that series. As you can see, it's much quicker than it used to be, so we hope those of you who have been in here are really enjoying the speed that is now part of the portal. I think it's been really helpful to some people. So once you see what you want, you can click Add to Cart, and it will go right into your cart. If you know what you want, and let me just back out here. If you know your brand, but you're not exactly sure what series you want, you can go in, click on the brand that you want, say you know you want a Fendt photo, you can type in the word photo, hit search. It'll take just a few seconds to populate here. And then you'll pull up all of the Fendt photos that are available for your use. I'll show you one more example here. We'll go back into Massey and say this time you want a pull-up banner. You go into the 4700 series here, click on pull-up banner, and here are the pull-up banners available for the the 4700 series. If you do have questions on any of this or you need help navigating, please reach out to your AGCO Direct rep and they are glad to help you navigate this. We know when things are new, sometimes there's a little bit of a learning curve, so we want to be here to help you and support you. And with that, I will turn it over to the team and they will talk about capturing content.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are going to talk about compelling content. My name is Laurel, and I am the creative director that supports AGCO Direct Creative, along with Maggie, an art director on our team that works really closely with content gathering and photo and video shoots, and Chelsea, the content strategist that supports AGCO Direct. We are going to walk you through planning, gathering and capturing, and how to utilize and leverage your content once you've gathered it for your brand to have a much more organic presence and build your own asset libraries. So to kick it off, I want to talk about what compelling content is. Compelling content is really just anything that captivates and engages your audience. Content should really try and spark a reaction and better yet, an interaction through comments and shares. Compelling content can really vary based on your audience, the industry you're in, and the platform that you're posting to or using your content on. So by using one or more of the following principles that I'll share with you when building or gathering your content, you can start to build that more engaging content that really is geared towards your brand and your look. So to plan for a shoot or gathering some content, think through these following things. Is it relevant? Content should be timely, relate to a current event, a trend, topic, or a seasonal message specific to your region. So a couple examples here are planning ahead for hay season, a walk around, different events that you've had at your dealership. Those are all super relevant to your audience. Another great thing to think through about being relevant is your geography. Do you have mountains, forests, orchards, specific crops in your region? Using photo and video of your region is a great way to be relevant to your close audience. Having visually appealing graphics and photos and eye-catching video, image, or graphic that is going to stop the user from scrolling and start to engage with your content is really important. Visuals increase desire to stop and read content by 80%. So our brain is first drawn to seeing an image and then to the text that is associated with it because images are faster to understand. So they boost information retention on what you're telling your audience. So quality images really matter. An emotional connection. You can create content through any type of emotional connection. It can be humor, it can be inspiring, empathetic. There's a lot of ways you can do this, but it makes it memorable and shareable, which is really important. So one way to achieve emotional connection is through the art of storytelling. There's lots of ways you can do this. Great examples would be behind the scenes video, a day in the life of a customer or an employee, employee spotlights, customer testimonials. Those are all really great examples of how you can have emotional connection with people. And then the next thing would be to make sure that your content is authentic to your brand. Authentic content feels way more genuine and relatable. It really humanizes your brand. Photos with faces get 38% more likes on average. People like seeing people. So the more you can post about your employees, the better. People, I like to say, people don't buy from people. They buy from people they trust. So using employee photos can help generate trust and show your audience the people who help make your brand uniquely yours. Another great way to make your content engaging is to make it interactive. Encouraging users to answer questions, running polls, hosting contests can all boost engagement and create a sense of community. And finally, the last thing to think through is the value that your content is offering your audience. Content that educates or solves a problem adds value to your users' lives, and it can position your brand as a helpful resource. So to kind of echo how Katie kicked us off about saying, I look for things, testimonials that people are saying about your product. That is really important to how people shop and how they are making purchases today. So you can do behind the scenes videos of the service department, customer testimonials, educational videos, the importance of regularly scheduled inspections, share frequently asked questions and answer videos, walkarounds, or videos about various attachments that you sell to spark ideas with your customers. Those are all really great ways to add value to your customer base. So with all of that, once you've kind of thought through, and some of them you can use one or more when you're planning what you want to post about. So once you've kind of planned out what you want to gather, then it's time to actually shoot the content. So I will have Maggie take it away on that.
Morning, everyone. Like Laurel mentioned, my name is Maggie Furlong, and I'm an art director on the AgCo team and a producer with our video team. So I'm involved in a lot of the content safaris and content gathering and asset libraries that we go and gather content for everyone to use. So now that Laurel has talked a little bit about what compelling content is and how to plan for it, we can talk about how to get it. And starting with that, one of the first things to think about is what equipment do you need? Any cameras, digital cameras, handheld, that's all great. But when you think about it, we all have a really great and powerful camera in the phones that we carry in our pockets every day. And it can be as simple as that. I looked up a handful of some of the highest rated smartphone cameras that are available today. And the iPhone 15 Pro Max, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and the Google Pixel 8 Pro are all super highly rated. Personally, I know a handful of people that have some of these really high-end smartphones with great cameras, and they can't take a great picture with it. And I know a lot of people that have a little bit of a lower value iPhone that has a perfectly fine camera, and they take fantastic pictures that are really compelling and interesting. So it's all about being intentional with what you're shooting, having a goal, and then making the most of what you have. If you wanted something additional for equipment to have in addition to your smartphone, I would recommend looking into, it's called a gimbal. It's kind of like a handle that your phone can attach to, and it gets rid of the little shakes and bumps if you were to be doing, a walk and talk video where you're following someone around. It just adds a little bit more of a professional level, a little bit smoother, a little bit of a nicer delivery. So those are, a couple of options, but truly what we all carry every day with our phones in our pockets, it's a really powerful tool. As for the time of day to be getting this content, it's all about, I'll say it again, kind of planning and being intentional with what you have. So if you could be shooting at a time of day where you can take advantage of natural light, that's the best, because we're looking for more organic content that you can use here. And I don't see a ton of people getting great big lighting setups. So make the most of what you have, and what you have is natural light. So if you can take advantage of a time of day to be doing that, if it's, earlier in the morning or, in the evening, those are great times because it avoids when the light is really harsh. And an example of when the light would be harsh to be getting photos is if you were thinking 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're out on the lot trying to get some photos of the equipment all lined up. It might look great, but the sun could be high, coming straight down. It makes harsh shadows. The light could be bouncing off. You don't get the visual that you want, the logos that you want to be coming across. It can be hard to keep it in focus. So, thinking a little bit more about the time of day that you want to be taking the photos. If you wanted it to be more dramatic, you can aim for that golden hour time, which is sunrise or sunset, and it adds a certain dramatic effect and they turn out beautifully. But if what you're dealing with is a 2:30 high sun, hot day in the middle of the afternoon, do what you can and just have fun, go from different angles, try a few different things, and you'll be able to make something great work. But I do recommend the golden hour. Everything turns out so nicely. You just get a warm light, some dramatic shadows. It's a little bit more fun. As far as what to wear, if you are being intentional and kind of planning ahead with the content that you want to gather, and that you're planning to have maybe some technicians or some salespeople in your shots, maybe have a conversation with them the day before about what they're planning to wear. And my biggest recommendation is branded apparel. It's such a great way to really give just a little extra bump to your brand if you have a salesperson wearing some kind of golf shirt with the logo on it, or if you're working with technicians that day and they have coveralls that have the logo on it, or someone is talking while they're walking down the lot and they've got a cap on. Those are all really great ways to get just a little bit of extra exposure for your brand. Big recommendation is PPE. If you're gathering content and you're getting all these great shots and it's so fun and everything is looking so good, and then you go to post it and you realize he or she wasn't wearing safety goggles or their gloves aren't on, suddenly you've got a little bit of a problem where you might not be able to post it or it won't get shared, and you've got this great content that all of a sudden you can't use. So it all comes back to, just like I said, being intentional, planning ahead a little bit, and if you can have that ready, it's just going to make everything a little bit more smooth for you. Lighting, we already talked about a little bit. Make the most of what you have, and what you have is natural light. So try to keep harsh shadows away, but like I said, just have fun with it. You can try different angles, you can try different locations. Give yourself a little bit of extra time so you have some time to play with it, but just really make the most of what you have. As far as horizontal or vertical shooting with your camera phone, think ahead about what the end use is going to be for what you are gathering. If you're thinking, I know that I want a short video that we can use as a reel, and I want to be able to post that, shoot it vertically, because that's the end goal. That's the way that it's going to face and the orientation it'll have as the end use. You can repurpose it later on, but have a main goal and then shoot for that main goal. If what you're looking for is, a new cover photo for your website or your Facebook page, try doing a horizontal shot and then use your 0.5 zoom on your camera phone. It gives you a wide angle and you get such a great extra amount in the shot that you can use for something that's a little bit more wide. Videos and images, just like what I just mentioned for horizontal or vertical, really be thinking about the end goal. If you are thinking that you want to get some content out there about a certain deal or a promotion or some specific equipment that you have, and you want 10 seconds of education for all of your followers, do a video. You can do a walk and talk, and it can either be yourself or someone that you're following, and they can give a quick little explanation of what the video is showing and the purpose. And if you're looking, like I said, for a cover photo, go with an image, wide angle, and make the most of what you have. With the videos that I just mentioned, if you're looking to conduct a short interview, my best tips for you on that are to keep it fun and relaxed. They should be light, they should be quick, easily digestible, and if you're having fun, everyone that's watching will be able to tell. It makes it a lot easier to watch. I think we've all watched some really forced interview questions or someone who isn't necessarily super comfortable on the camera, just trying to make it work. So just have fun, and it makes that end deliverable so much better. And you can always redo it. If you don't love what you have, just take a break, go back, try it again, and it'll turn out great. A little bit of a breakdown just on the specifics, a couple tips based on what we just talked about. Here's a photo that we took on a recent content shoot. And this picture, like Laurel said, having that emotive response, you can get a lot out of this. You know, you see someone walking, there's equipment in the background, his head is down, it's kind of moody, it's cloudy, and there are reasons why this photo works. So one, natural lighting. We were out in a field. What we had to work with was the sky, and it's cloudy. That's great. It's perfectly fine. Cloudy days sometimes turn out the best. So make the most of what you already have. The rule of thirds, you can turn on a grid on your smartphone camera and then use that as a guide for having the horizon line at one of the 1/3 lines, and then you can have your subject and use that grid to line things up. It helps give movement, it keeps some interest, and then you have the person in the focus, and there's a background, so you get the idea of where he is, his surroundings, and then some branded equipment sitting there too. So when you focus, make sure you just are taking advantage of that tap to focus feature on these smartphones, because it really does make all the difference. If you have the machine in focus, that's telling a different story if he's way in the background and blurry, versus this is a story about him where the machine is present. And then he's wearing his branded apparel, of course. It's hard to see in that picture, but he wore a jacket specifically for that day because we talked to him about, you know, his message and his brand and what he needed. And if he was doing anything where he needed PPE, we made sure that he was wearing that. So my recommendation here is just to make sure that you're using the most that you have, making the most of what you already have, and a couple of these really simple and effective rules, like the rule of thirds. Couple last tips on shooting images and videos with your smartphone camera is you always shoot at the highest resolution possible. So I know that we're talking a lot about social and organic and just some smaller lighthearted stuff, but what if you have such a great shot that what if it was to end up on a billboard? That would be fantastic. And if you're shooting in high res, then you're able to use it for that. So keep that in mind. And when you're shooting in high resolution, you can go into your camera settings to make sure that that's where you're set up. But keep in mind that those take up a lot of space on your phone. So if you are being intentional and you're all set to go out for a fun day of shooting, make sure that you have enough space on your phone to get the assets that you want. Be intentional. I've said it 97 times in the last couple minutes. Just make sure that you have a goal so that when you're going out and you're doing all this work and you're capturing this content, you're really making the most of what you have. And then have fun. It's always noticeable. You know it when you're scrolling through and you're looking at photos. You know when someone's having fun or when it's forced. Just have fun with it. And it takes some of the pressure off you gathering content because you're enjoying yourself. You're trying from different angles. You're using some different lighting methods. And before you know it, you're getting better and better every time that you go out and capture this new content. So that's what I've got on how to get the content, and I will pass it along.
All right, so as you guys can see, I am not the art director, so my slides don't look as nice as Maggie and Laurel's, but we'll do our best here. So my name is Chelsea. Like Laurel said, I am more about kind of how to use the content once you have it. So I do more organic social media. I know I've met a few of you in the past few months. So we will kind of go over how, once you have the content, how you can use it, how to repurpose and recycle content that you have once you have from different platforms and things like that, how to optimize your platforms, and then also different tools that you can use, free tools online and different things like that, just different ideas that you can use to really optimize your social media channels. These are a couple of photos that I took when we were out at a couple of different dealerships. So I just wanted to call these out. On the bottom is Creamer. They had a couple of really cool just tractors within their dealership of different sizes. So we kind of just lined them up and did kind of a small, medium, large tractor, just kind of a cool little shot, just giving you kind of an idea of different things and different ways that you can set up tractors and things like that within your dealership to make it look really cool and just kind of do more of an enticing shot. It doesn't have to be anything really overly produced or anything like that, but it is compelling content. It can really, again, just connect with your audience and be something that can go over really well on social media. And then the top photo is from Foothill. Everybody loves a dog, and everybody loves a dog on a tractor. So almost all of the dealerships that I've gotten to visit has at least one dog, which I think is super cool. So I think the more that you can feature any of the pups that you have within those dealerships, those are always super cool too. So we got this pup to get up on the Massey and got some really cool shots of her up there. So anything you can do like that too, I think it's, again, just really connecting with your audience on a different level and being able to allow them to really just, kind of see themselves in those things too. I think we all love a dog and we all, connect with that there. So just, again, looking at things just a little bit different. It doesn't have to be, again, an overly produced photo. It doesn't have to be just a photo of a tractor. It can be something that you're looking at just a little differently. So just a couple of different ideas for you to kind of think through as we go through these next few slides here together. So where do I start once I have my content? So a few different things that you'll want to make sure that you are thinking through. So you want to make sure that you have a content strategy and a plan for your content. So when you have your strategy, what I mean by that is you're going to want to make sure that you have a strategy based on what platforms you have. So do you have Facebook? Do you have YouTube? Do you have Instagram and TikTok? Or do you have, Google My Business? Are you keeping up to date on those types of things? Those are all things you want to keep in mind when you are looking at your content and what types of content that you're capturing and what you're doing with it. So making sure that you are, once you have the content that Maggie and Laura were talking about, how you're sizing it and what you're doing with it from there. So again, we'll kind of go through that here in a second, but this is kind of the things that you want to go through as you're looking at these types of things. Featuring real people as often as possible. I know Maggie touched on that, but the more that you can feature people, the more people are going to feel connected to your brand. And it's just going to, again, people are going to feel like they see that person on video or in photos on your social media channels, and they're going to feel that connection. And they're going to be able to say, hey, I saw, this person on social media, or I saw them here. And they're just going to feel more of a personal connection to your brand. And they're going to feel, more compelled to move forward with you as a brand. You also want to incorporate a boosting strategy to optimize your results. So this is something that sounds really intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Boosting can be something as little as $25 for 7 days and really optimize your results with this type of thing. So it could be something where you're looking at figuring out if you want to talk to a little bit of a different audience, or if you're having a dealership event. I know we've talked to a few of you about those types of things. So if you're having an event and you want to really, get that out to a few different people, boosting that for $25 and getting that to, a broader audience. Those are types of things that you can talk about as well. When you take that content, put it into your strategy and the Facebook event, and then boosting it there. And then switching it up. So once you have the content, just making sure that you're staying on top of trends. So again, we'll go into that here in a second, but if you have photos and videos, how are you utilizing it? So if you have photos, are you using it in, a video like on TikTok right now? Some trends that are popular are, the sliding photos. So are you utilizing it there and that type of thing? And maybe you're putting that on Instagram if you have that, but just staying on top of those types of things and doing that by, watching social media and scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Instagram, and going through it on your personal devices as well, and making sure that you're staying on top of it that way. So another thing that is really helpful is looking at your scheduling tool. So this is Sprout Social. This is the scheduling tool that we use as ACO Direct to schedule out all of our content. So it is something that is really helpful for us because it allows us to schedule all the content. It gives us dates and times that are really beneficial for each specific entity. So for example, if we're looking at one specific dealership, it'll go in and look at your specific dates and times and tell us, okay, at this time, on this date, this is when you should look at posting because this is when your page gets the most traction and engagement. So it will look at those types of things and give us those types of data so that we can make sure that we are optimizing on your content. So getting a scheduling tool like this, it doesn't have to be something this, it doesn't have to be a paid tool. It can also be something Facebook has or Meta has a free tool that you can also use. So if you want to use a scheduling tool like that, but just getting some sort of content calendar so that you have an idea of what you're posting, when you're posting, and how you're posting, so that you can make sure that you are utilizing all the content you're getting and it's remaining timely so that, if you're getting a video, like Maggie said, that, during a specific season, you're keeping it within that seasonality and you're not realizing a month later that you forgot to post it and now it's no longer relevant. So getting all of that content together, maybe you have it just in an Excel doc and you have notes of when you're posting it and then you're putting it into, a calendar from there. But just making sure you have some sort of tool and process for how you're posting it and then putting in copy and that type of thing from there. So I wanted to bring this out here as well because I know we get a lot of questions about when the best time of day is to post and how often you should post. So this is from Sprout Social. This was pulled on April 10th of this year. So I know this is a little bit intimidating to look at and read, but what it means basically is that for Facebook, the best times to post are typically Tuesdays through Thursdays between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. So that's typically when you're going to want to post. Sundays are not good posting days for Facebook. We just don't see a lot of engagement. Facebook in general doesn't see a lot of engagement on Sundays. So just keeping kind of in that weekday cadence and making sure that you're keeping within kind of that Tuesday to Thursday. Mondays and Fridays are good too, but just that's really when we're seeing the most engagement and when people are really seeing the most kickback for businesses. So that's something when you're posting, just something to keep in mind too, kind of that mid-morning to late afternoon, because of course we have different, there's different time zones and things like that. So just keeping in mind, that's kind of when the sweet spot is for engagement type and when people are really perusing Facebook. One other thing I wanted to mention on here, sorry, is making sure that when we're optimizing here for timing, we're not only looking at timing, we're looking at photo sizing. So when you have a photo for Facebook, you're sizing it correctly for the platform so that it looks right on the platform. So like Maggie said, if you're holding your phone the right way, if you're holding it, I like to say the hot dog or the hamburger style. So if you're holding it up and down or sideways, making sure that you're holding it the right way and then cropping it correctly so that for the platform, it looks right. So Sprout Social, again, has a lot of great tools and resources. They have a link where actually it keeps up to date every single the social sizing for each platform, and it's always up to date. So it has the exact pixels and everything like that where you should of each for each platform. So I think right now Facebook is 1080 by 1080, but just making sure that everything's cropped correctly so that it looks right on the platform, especially for videos as well. So it's going to be different varying by Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things. Just making sure that you're doing all those correctly. Making sure too that you are engaging with your audience. So if people are commenting on your posts and doing different things on your platform, making sure that you're commenting back to them, liking their comments, making them feel like they're being heard and making them feel like they are a part of your community. Just, commenting back to them, asking them to engage with you in different ways, asking for UGC, which is user generated content. So that's something that's really popular too if you're looking for different ways to get more content. So if you can ask for testimonials, things like that, that's something that's really great content to use on your social media channels too. Making sure that you're posting consistently. So again, within that time frame that we talked about, making sure that you're posting consistently and not just posting. I know we have a lot of you involved in the SMP program, but making sure you're also using that local content to optimize on those social media channels too. And then also just looking at kind of what is working for Facebook may not work for different platforms. So looking at, if you are looking to hire for maybe a salesperson, that might be a good post for LinkedIn, but it might not be a good post for Facebook or Instagram. So looking at what is going to work for content for each platform and thinking through it that way too. And then next up, I wanted to talk through kind of different ideas on reusing and recycling content. So one thing that has come up, I think, is just content ideas in general. So one thing that we wanted to touch on really is looking at the Massey Ferguson and just the brands in general. So Massey Ferguson, Fendt, all the different brands, but their Facebook pages, their Instagram pages, I know some will have blog spaces on their websites, and looking at what they have to offer and using it on your Facebook pages or Instagram spaces or whatever it may be as well. So these are great opportunities to share their content and to really just capitalize on the brand. So these are just a couple of examples. The one on the right actually was taken. It's a screenshot taken from the same shoot that Maggie was talking about. And this was a Take Your Sons and Daughters to Work Day. And it's a reel that performed really, really well on the corporate channel, but it's something that it could so easily be shared out to each dealership channel and just have a little piece of copy that makes sense for your dealership. So it's something that will resonate with your audience as well, but it's put out on the corporate channels. So looking at what the corporate channels are posting as well and seeing if it will resonate with your audience so that you don't have to come up with the content on your own. You're looking and seeing what they're posting and seeing if it resonates with your audience, which 9 times out of 10 it is going to. You just might have to put a little bit of a spin on it for yourself. So again, the one on the left, it looks like that was a Hey Talk episode. So looking at, again, seasonality and that type of thing, making sure it makes sense for that time of year. But they have a lot of things, again, like I said, the blog spaces, things like that would make sense for you to pull into your channels as well, and just make it your own. And then I wanted to touch a little bit on tools you can use. So these are free tools. The next couple of slides are free tools that you can use online that are really, really great for helping you edit photos and also create video content. So Vimeo and Canva are great tools for photos and editing. And then also Canva is great for video content as well. They also have really great AI content and capabilities in these tools now too. I will caution with AI that you just have to be really careful with kind of how you're using it. But I know that some of you, may not have kind of a creative person within your department. So making sure that this is just a great kind of helper, I would say. So Canva has a thing called Magic Studio, where you can tell it to make you, to help you edit your photo or help you create a video or whatever it may be. And so that can kind of be something that can kind of help you along with your video content and that type of thing. So something just to kind of keep in mind as you're working through learning how to create videos, learning how to edit your photos. These tools are really great helpers. And I have a video here in a second, which will kind of just walk you through how to do it. But again, when I'm learning how to use these types of tools, I use social media to learn how to use these tools. So I'll go and look at YouTube Shorts, or I'll go and look at TikTok or Reels, and I'll just search how to create a video on Canva or how to edit something on Canva. And the content that is out there is super easy and super digestible. One fact I wanted to touch on is that social media users will actually retain 95% of a message watched on a video compared to only 10% when they read it in a text. So that's something that's really important to think about too when you're posting things on social media. If you are posting a video versus a post, people are going to really retain that message if you're posting a video rather than a post. So just think about that type of thing as well. So here are some good ones for, again, video editing and for text overlay as well. So if you are going in and you want to make sure. So thinking about for adaptability, if for users who are maybe deaf, or if you are looking at your phone and you don't have the sound on, if you want to have kind of a the copy over the text, things like that. These are a couple of different ones that you can use as well that are great for video editing as well. So again, they all have free versions. You can upgrade to premium versions that will help you with, that will give you more options, but these are great as well for video editing. And then, you can learn more as you go along. So this is one that I was looking at. So this is, like I said, when I look at learning a new tool or that type of thing, I actually go on social media and I just search how to use it. And so this is one I found on YouTube Shorts on how to edit a video in Canva. So I just wanted to share this with all of you just to show you how easy it is to look up these types of things. And this is, I think, like a 30-second video. So I was just going to share it with you really quick and show you how easy it is. Oh, if it'll play here, 1 second. I wonder if you have to play it. Kira is the owner.
Chelsea, we can send out the video after.
Okay.
I am also struggling to get it to play, but
Okay.
we'll send this to everybody after today's webinar.
Okay, perfect. Well, basically this video is just showcasing how to utilize utilize Canva, and it walks you through really simple tasks and really simple ways to do an overlay of sound and then import your video and that type of thing. And then the next slide is one that I actually did on Canva, which is now just unfortunately a black screen, but it's basically something that I shot, I believe, I think it was at Foothills Tractor. So basically it's just, what I did is I took my phone and I did kind of a walk around almost with my phone. And then I just put a little bit of music over it, and that's all I did. And I just put that in Canva, and then it turned out to kind of a cool video. So again, we'll send this out so you guys can look at it, but it's super simple. It took me like 10, 15 minutes to do. And it is just makes your content a lot more intriguing and a lot more exciting for people to look at. And with that, I will pass it back to Laurel.
So with all of that information, it's a lot, but we have built in an easy button, and you can click that at any time and contact your ACODirect rep, and we would love to come out to your locations and shoot a content safari. So what is a content safari? Content safaris help gather a lot of material in a matter of hours to start building up your to use through the year on a social calendar and a campaign, or just to have assets available so that you have your own B-roll that you can start to pull little videos together. And as audiences consume more and more content and they're scrolling on making decisions about purchases and brand reputation, it's the greatest way to invest into your brand and having your look out there. So we'd love to come spend a morning or an afternoon at your dealership shooting anything that you have available, inside, outside, lots, doing interviews with technicians, your salespeople, customers that you want to have come in. We'd love to come help you shoot that. So here's some examples of what that kind of looks like behind the scenes, some of the output, and all of those assets would be available to you to use. We would shoot B-roll to have you could use whenever you needed. And yeah, that kind of concludes the program. Any questions?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will get to some of those. I'm going to read off a few here that we have already received. Alicia asked about getting more raw footage video added to the dealer portal so we can create videos for our own social media platforms. Alicia, that is something we would definitely love to share more of with you guys. as we start doing more of these content safaris, we will be asking dealers if they are okay with sharing some of the assets we capture with other dealers for them to use as well. Some of that we are also a little bit at the mercy of AGCO corporate, and I can let Katie maybe touch on this a little bit. But a lot of the assets that are on the portal are things that we receive from AGCO corporate. So we do our best to get you as much as we can. I don't know if you want to add to that at all.
Yeah, I just screenshotted that just so y'all know and shared it with the two folks on Massey and Fent that manage assets. So stay tuned.
And if you guys do ever have things that you want to see more of on the portal, please let us know. We're constantly in contact with Katie and those on the brand side for both Massey and Fent, and passing along any of those assets that you feel you don't have enough of. A few other questions we have here. How do you get employees to participate when gathering content? A lot of our employees don't want to be in photos or videos. I can answer a little bit of this, and I'll let Chelsea help answer this as well. I like to bribe people. So whatever you can do to bribe them, maybe you can offer to buy them a beer after work or something. I think that's one of the best ways to try to entice people is bribery. Also look for those people within your dealership or company who are a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera and use them as your pilot people. Once others see those pilot people or ambassadors, as we like to call them, doing some of that content, it will make others feel more comfortable to do that as well. Chelsea, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would add maybe buy them a beer before the photo shoot. That might help them a little bit more.
Not if they're operating equipment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, if they're just standing outside it, no. I think also it's kind of, we like to say, we want to make people feel as comfortable as possible, because like Maggie touched on, when people are not comfortable in front of the camera, it's very evident. And so just working with them to make them feel comfortable. One thing that I like to do, if you're shooting a video, say, make sure that, maybe if we have a camera, let's say if we're doing it in front of a camera and not just a phone, or if you have the gimbal, like Maggie was talking about, have your phone actually recording before you tell them it's recording, and just kind of, talk with them and BS with them a little bit, and then have them kind of loosen up, feel comfortable, and then start asking them questions. And believe it or not, the things that you'll get them to say before they know that they're recording are usually the best clips that will be said, even though before you'll actually ask them the real questions that you want to get to. So things like that will be really great. But you never want to make somebody be on social media if they're not comfortable with it. Another thing though, we do like to say, it's kind of other duties as assigned. So, kind of asking them to just be a part of it and, help out the dealership in that way as well. So I think asking them to really be an ambassador for your company, and really asking them to look at it in the different way of looking at it as, being the face of the company and helping out the company in that way, rather than looking at it as like a personal thing.
This is probably a question for Maggie. Can you recommend a good stable tripod?
For smartphones, there are actually so many. I was looking on Amazon to see what they have available for smartphones, because you don't need anything super heavy duty just to hold your phone. And they have a lot of really great options with a lot of different bottoms, actually. So if you think about what you would want to use it for, you can go ahead and look for something that has, they have the grippy legs that could suction cup to something so that you could stick it to a wall or a window and then have your phone stabilized by that. They also have the bendy legs that you could use to kind of clamp, or ones that actually have clamps, and you could clamp it to equipment or kind of whatever you have on hand. So Amazon has a lot of really good options. I recommend reading reviews. I've had a couple that are a little bit of a dud, but they have a lot of really highly recommended ones right now when I looked the other day.
This next question is also for you, Maggie. How do you shoot in the highest resolution on your phone?
That's a good question. There are a handful of different ways to look depending on the phone that you have. So if you have, actually, screenshot, let me pull it up. If you have an Android, you open up your camera and then you go to controls, and then there's an other options menu. And when you click on that, you can click on picture size and then make sure that you have the highest resolution or the fastest video taking capabilities. And it's similar on your iPhone. If you go into your settings and then camera, there are a handful of different options that you can look at. So an iPhone will shoot in different settings. So there's cinematic, there's slow motion, and you can go into each of those and make sure that you're shooting in the highest resolution possible.
Thank you. Got one more here for Chelsea. How do you stay on top of the latest trends for social media?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I like to spend some time scrolling, kind of doom scrolling, I would say, each day. So maybe you set 10 minutes aside in the morning and you just look at the different social platforms. So whether it be Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever it may be, and look and see what different platforms are doing. I also really like to look at competitors. So look and see what they're doing on their platforms. One thing I really like to do too is look at maybe larger competitors and seeing, going into their comment sections and seeing what people are asking in there and then building content off of that. That's something that's really cool. And you can kind of look at, I also like picking a couple of big brands. So it doesn't have to be something that is within your industry. It can be like a couple brands that I personally really like to follow. I really like Wendy's burgers. They have a really fun social media presence. They're always really on top of trends. They're really funny. They're very punchy. They do really fun stuff on their social channels. They're a little bit probably, they cross the line a little bit sometimes, but they are always really on top of trends. So I think they're somebody that's kind of fun to follow and see what they're doing. Starbucks is a good one to kind of follow and look and see what they're doing. And they're always, pretty in line, and, they don't really do anything that's crossing the line there. I think looking at those types of things, you can also subscribe to newsletters. So there's like Social Media Examiner, Social Media Today is another one. But looking at some of those different social media platforms, social media newsletters, and then Sprout Social, they have a really, really great blog. So looking at those types of things and just reading up on those things, and I know it seems kind of tedious and overwhelming, but really just looking at those things and then figuring out if you can, make it work for your brand. I heard somebody say once that there's no really original idea. It's really just taking an idea and spinning it to make it work for you. So I think that's something that I've always kind of looked at to see, how can you make it work for you? So I think that's something to really keep in mind as you're looking for content as well.
One more thing I'll add to that, lean into the young people at your dealership. They're already on social media and already doom scrolling constantly. So ask them or set up a brainstorm with some of the younger people at your dealership. Maybe they're not necessarily in a marketing role, but they might still have some good ideas. I know sometimes salespeople are really good at already doing this. So maybe get together a group of your salespeople and talk to them about different trends that they're using or different trends they're seeing and set up a brainstorm with them on what else you could be doing. I believe that is all we have for questions. So we will wrap up today's webinar. We will be having another webinar again in May, so watch for details to come on that. We appreciate you all attending today. If you have further questions on today's webinar or want to sign up for a content safari, feel free to reach out to your AGCO Direct rep, and we would be glad to assist you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.